All right, Shalom Alechem, Rabotai. Welcome to our Wednesday class on Yalkut Yosef. Continue from where we stopped. We are in the topic of the Halachot of Netilat Yadayim. In the morning, soon we're about to approach the Netilat Yadayim regarding the bathroom. But let's wait until we get there, Be'ezrat Hashem. So regarding cleanliness in the morning, tells us Yalkut Yosef, Tov lirchotz et hape baboker, mipnei haririm shebetoch hape. It's good to wash our mouth in the morning because it's kind of normal today that everybody brushes their teeth, but since there's some mucus in the mouth, clean it up because you're about to say Shem Hashem, and when you want to say Shem Hashem, you should do it in the most clean way that you can. And if the water is not clean, let's say you have water that's not 100% clean, I don't know, ocean water, river water, whatever, something like that, so that doesn't hold you back from saying a bracha. You could use that water and still say a bracha. And it's also recommended, he says, and it's right to wash your face every morning. Today, everybody has faucets and it's comfortable. I guess in the past, maybe it wasn't so easy. He still says to do it. Now be careful not to touch your eyes before the netilat yadayim. As we mentioned, just not only eyes, but all the openings that a person has, you should be careful not to touch those because of the ruach tumah, the dirty, the impure spirit that dwells on his fingers. Unless it's a person that he has sickness in his eyes and he cannot not clean his eyes with his fingers the second he comes in, that person can rely on those who hold that nowadays the ruach tumah, that evil spirit that existed in the past, we see nowadays it's not so strong anymore, so rely on those opinions. But obviously if you don't have to, then avoid that. Right, give me 1 second, did I skip? No, I didn't skip, right? No, right. What does that mean? Someone touches a little potty. You put a potty for a child, and now you touched it. If that potty was clean, it doesn't require me to do netilat yadayim. היוצא מבית הכסא. Okay, we're moving to seif bet. In סימן ד', that's the 4th סימן in Shulchan Aruch. There's seifim, there's little parts. So this is part 2. Seif bet, it talks about washing our hands for someone that just left the bathroom, as we said. היוצא מבית הכסא, צריך ליטול ידיו. Whoever leaves the bathroom needs to wash his hands. We're going to see, if you remember, we spoke, differentiated between what type of bathroom is it. Is it just for a shower? Does it also have a toilet? What happens if you just walk in and out? He's going to touch all these points. Really, when we leave the bathroom, it's enough to just put our hands under that faucet for 1 time. But the minhag is to do it 3 times like we do, and as we've mentioned many times, the custom of Rabbi Yosef, which I see now from the new angle of the camera, we could see him here on the side. So Rabbi Yosef, his minhag was to do 3 times on netilat yadayim. I heard it from his son-in-law, that's what he would do. So if we want to learn Maaseh Rav, how the Rav did it, that's what he did. But the requirement, 1 is sufficient. Now, what happens if I walk into the bathroom just because I left my phone in there? I forgot my phone in the bathroom, I walk in and I take it out. I have to wash my hands or no? What do you say? Steve says no. Anybody thinks otherwise?
I say yeah.
Oh, you guys says yes.
Yes, you have to.
Well, it's probably rest.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay, we have winners. We have winners. Yes, actually, since we mentioned the place that has a toilet in it, even though there's a controversy around nowadays, and we'll touch it soon. Nowadays, some say it's considered clean because all the dirt goes under, but halacha is, according to Rabbi Vadia and according to his son, the Yalkut Yosef, is that place is considered tameh, and therefore, even if you just walked in to take an item, still your hands became impure just because you walked into an impure place. It's a machloket. Especially this becomes interesting when we are in a plane and we want to do netilat yadayim for bread, and we do use that room that has a toilet to do netilat yadayim. So we see in certain cases we lean on those opinions, right? But if there's no need to lean on those opinions, then when you go into the bathroom, even just to take something, you should wash your hands. היוצא מבית הכסא לאחר שהתפנה, now if someone leaves the bathroom after he used it, and he hears Kaddish, or he hears Kedusha, before he did Netilah, what is the right thing for him to do? Anybody remember? I don't know if we discussed this. Maybe we touched something similar to this.
You could say the He can answer.
He can answer. He just has to do one little thing. What is the one little thing he can do and he doesn't require washing his hands?
Wipe his hands.
Wipe his hands on milei de menake, even on your own clothing, he says, just a little bit like that, just to, to show some sort of cleanliness that now happened to your hands, and that would be sufficient.
Is that
Yes, meaning missing amen and missing kedusha is a very big deal. So of course it's lekatchila, because if you don't do that, you say, I want to be strict. I want to first wash my hands. You're going to miss kedusha. What's greater, to be strict or to miss the kedusha? If we knew what answering one time amen yehesher merabah means, then we would understand there's no question, right? The Gemara says whoever answers yehesher merabah b'chol kocho, with all of his strength, if you answer, mochadnim lo gzar din shel 70 shana, they erase the judgment of 70 years upon him. Now, of course, that's dramatic. What does that really mean? That they erase it. And there's also a discussion, what does it mean whoever answers yehesher merabah mevarach with all of his strength? Some say with all this strength, actually. That's why you hear some people screaming, yeah, Shemer Rabba. But there's a machloket around it, Rashi, Tosafot. Some say you don't have to use your whole strength. It's the whole heart should be in there, meaning have kavanah, let Hashem's name be great. That's a Yeheh Shemer Rabba. There's also an opinion that, what does it mean, Bechol Kocho? With all of your body parts, meaning your whole body should be involved in this. It shouldn't just be something from the mouth, but you should feel all of you saying that towards Hashem. Different opinions. Either way, since the Yeheh Shemer Rabba is such a big deal, of course we don't want to miss that. Just wipe your hands on something. Of course, after that, go do netilah properly, whatever you need to do. But don't miss that amen and don't miss that kedusha. היוצא מבית הכסא. Now if someone leaves the restroom, מותר לו לגוע באוזניו ובעיקר בעיניו קוראים שיטו ידיו. You're allowed to touch your eyes or any other holes, as we mentioned, the 7 holes that a person has on his face. When you leave the bathroom, you are allowed to touch those holes, right? But when are we not allowed to touch those holes before we wash our hands? In the morning. In the morning, if I haven't washed my hands, don't touch anything. If I leave the bathroom, yes, I'm allowed to. Why? Because as we explained once in the past, there's a different level of impurity. The impurity that holds on our hands throughout the night is in a very high level. There's mamash sakana, they say, there's danger. Though we've seen that today that danger has weakened, but since there's danger, we hold that you should wash your hands before you touch any of those foods. But leaving the bathroom, the tum'ah, the impurity that's dwelling in the restroom is not as powerful as the one that dwells during the night. And therefore, if you have to touch your eyes and something like that, before you washed your hands, no problem. All right. He says, however, if you want to be strict upon yourself, tavo alecha baracha, you are blessed. Someone washes his hands after he was in the bathroom. Are we allowed to enjoy this water? I don't know, let's say I want to water my plants with that. I save the water that I washed my hands, I washed it into a bucket. I want to enjoy the water. I want to water my plants, all right? Or wash the floor with them. Am I allowed to? So he says yes, because this water is not like the water of Netilat Yadayim Shel Shacharit. The water of Netilat Yadayim Shel Shacharit, don't use it for something else because it has the impurity on it. However, the water of after going to the bathroom, that's not such a big deal, and therefore you can use it to wash your floor or whatever. Now what happens, as we mentioned before, I have a restroom, and this restroom doesn't have a bet hakeseh, it doesn't have a bathroom. So what is it? It's just a shower. It has like a spring of water to shower ourselves. No bathroom, no toilet. What's the din over there? All right. So he says you are allowed to lekatchila, as Igal said before. There's lekatchila, there's to begin with, and there's b'diavad if I have no choice. No, lekatchila, I'm allowed to walk into a shower room and do the netilat yadayim over there. Either if it's for the morning or even if it's for a meal to eat bread, I could do it in that room. Because even in the showers that are public showers, back in the day they had the public place where everybody would go and shower over there, that it's considered dirtier because you have so many people over there. Over there, the only thing they forbid us to do is think about, levarech, to say, to bless, or even to think about divrei Torah. But no one ever forbid you to wash your hands, meaning even in a place that is more dirty, we were allowed to wash our hands. We just couldn't think about divrei Torah. But here, no problem. So, what is the halacha bottom line? If you walk into that bathroom, there's no problem to do a netilat yadayim. Because there's no evil spirit, there's no ruach ra'ah. Where does the ruach ra'ah come from? When someone goes to the toilet, all right, the ruach ha'ah dwells over there, the evil spirit, or whatever. But the bathroom, no. The shower, I mean, there's no. And he says, how much more so when it's a private shower? If you have a room in your home, I don't know how many people have this, but if you have a room that is just with a shower, no toilet in it, then that would be sufficient to do the washing of the hands. But he says here, but better to say the bracha outside, don't say it inside, right? So wash your hands as while they are wet. You leave that room, you go outside, you say Al Netilat Yadayim, and you wipe it in that moment. He says, if you,
Ziv, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Ziv. What
Oh.
what in the case when the toilet is separate, like a totally separate room?
So
it has a door and everything, but
so
it's in the shower area.
It seems like it's in the shower, but if it has a separate door, it's not. It's a separate room. I get your question. I'm answering you in the same way you asked, meaning it's already a separate room. But we're going to touch that. There are different levels of separate room. Is it just tzurat petach? Tzurat petach is a solution that people put on bathrooms that it's like what they do with the eruv. You know, in the cities, they put like a fence. It's not a real fence. It's like a string around and a tzurat petach. If you learned Masechet Eruvin, then you've learned about Tzurat HaPetach as well. I'm sure you have. It's some sort of solution to put on a toilet so that it's considered like it's in a separate room, but still visible. But the most glatt kosher separation from a toilet would be doors. If you have four walls around it that are as high as 10 tfachim, that's about 80 centimeters, then that would be sufficient, and that's considered. Like you have that a lot when you go to public bathrooms. You walk in, there's where they have the sinks to wash your hands, but you have tons of doors where people go in, right? I'm not talking about if there's a urinal over there. We'll see. He's going to talk about a urinal.
But those doors usually don't go all the way up. Those are just
It doesn't
divided.
have to go all the way up. As we said, 80 centimeters, that's considered a separation from that room. I know that in our eyes, it may be still visible, but there's halachic criteria to what makes an area a different area. Also, this happens when parents are in a room, let's say in a hotel, and they have children in that hotel, and the parents want to be together, but there are children in that room. So I'm talking about babies, not older children that understand, but they say that the separation to put between the parents, so you could have some suitcases stand that are in that height of, make a wall or some sort of solution like that would be sufficient for the parents to be together. I'm not getting into those halachot. It's a little bit more complicated, but we see in many places. It's a mechitza. It's considered a separation once you have 80 centimeters. So definitely those rooms that have a door, even though they're not all the way to the ceiling, that's fine. All right. בית הכסא שיש שם ברז לנטילה, אף על פי שקבוע שם סילון מים, מכל מקום אין להתיר לכתחילה איתו שם סעודה. If it's a bathroom that has a sink, לכתחילה, we do not walk into that room to do נטילה for the meal or do נטילה for the morning. As we mentioned before, that happens sometimes in a plane. In a plane, we have no choice. Where are we going to do netilah? We want to eat bread. So we use that room, even though it has a toilet, and we rely on the opinions of those that are lenient, which he's gonna mention it over here soon. Or Letzion, Chacham ben Zion Abba Shaul, which happens to be that today I was in the cemetery in Sanhedria. Today's my father's yahrzeit, so I went to the cemetery in Sanhedria. We visited Rav Ovadia Yosef. I prayed for the success of the shiur Be'ezrat Hashem. He's also buried there. And Chacham ben Zion Abba Shaul, which was his chavruta, they were both students in the same yeshiva. He was also there. By the way, Lavdil. We want to mention that this shiur should be Lavdil for refuah shlema of Gila Lea Bat Sheva Be'ezrat Hashem. Hashem should give her a speedy recovery, and she should be back with perfect health soon. Be'ezrat Hashem.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, for reminding me. Right. So, what is the claim of the Or Letzion? How come he says that toilet is not impure? Why come we would be allowed to wash our hands there? And he says, the בית הכסא של פרסיים, הלכלוך היה מתגלגל ויורד לעומק. אבל כיסא של זמננו, הלכלוך הרי שוהה שם למספר רגעים עד שמורידים את המכל המים. What does he say? There's a difference. There used to be toilets. Back in the day, how were the bathrooms? The dirt dwelled in that room, but right now it's removed. What I read right now is not from Or Letzion. I tried reading from the middle, but let's start from the beginning. כתב שאין דין בית הכסא אלא על מקום האסלה. Or Letzion holds that the only place that is considered bet הכסא, which is dirty, which is impure, is actually when you're on the toilet. And therefore, if you're in that room, but you're not sitting on the toilet, you did not get any of the impurity, and you're allowed to wash your hands in that room. Shut Yabia Omer, which is a Rav Ovadia Yosef, he had a comment on Chacham Ben Zion Abashur, and he said to Chacham Ben Zion that you shouldn't say that only the toilet in that room is impure, because even though the Minchat Yitzchak says that it's considered like a Persian bathroom, and that's what I read before about what that Persian bathroom is, that the dirt would roll right away and go away. He says that's not our case. The Persians, I guess, were very clean. So in their toilets, it wouldn't stay even for a second. They would dig a very big hole, and the dirt would leave the room right that moment. Rav Ovadia says that's not the case. Chacham Ben Zion don't learn from that if that was clean, nowadays ours is clean. Why? What's the difference? Because with us, we don't flush the toilet right away. There's a few seconds, minutes, 30 seconds, whatever it is, where the dirt stays in that room actually. And then you flush and it goes away. Because of that time, Rav Ovadia says, don't be so quick to be lenient. There's room to be strict. And therefore, lekatchila, we do not want to wash our hands in that room. Unless, as we said, we're in a plane, we're in a train, where we have no choice. Now, the question that our dear Marcel had. If someone made a wall around that toilet, a halachic wall that is 80 centimeters high, then you're allowed to wash your hands in that room. To begin with, don't be so strict. No, there's still a toilet there. That 4-wall, 80 centimeters is a halachic wall. No problem. But if you want to talk divrei Torah in that room, then it's better to be strict, okay? So you're in that public, let's say, bathroom where there's faucets and there's rooms of bathrooms. As you said, they're reaching the ceiling, they're not reaching the ceiling, but anyway, it's an area of bathrooms. It's enough to do netilat yadayim. But don't talk divrei Torah in that room, even though it's closed and you're just by the faucet. Don't go so far, he says. Okay, now, but what if you did a tzurat hapetach? Tzurat hapetach is not an actual wall. It's an iruv, like we do with the iruv, and there's just a string that makes it seem like it's a closed district, right? That won't be sufficient, and therefore, and only if a situation occurred where you don't have the ability to build a wall, and that's the only faucet that you have, then when you have the tzurat hapetach, that I want to make sure everybody know. You know what Tzurat HaPetach is, everybody here? That's when you have an Iruv, right? Iruv for the city. We put something around the city to make it considered one place. Now, the glatt way to do that would be to put a fence, but it's very difficult to put fences around cities. So instead, we have poles and strings that go all around the city, and those poles with the string, that considered it like one place. So that solution above, the toilet, he says, that would be helpful where that's the only faucet that you have and you can't put up walls, but don't lean on that likatchila. Right. What we have 9 minutes, Baruch Hashem. Beit kiseh shebarakevet. Now regarding a train, just like we spoke about a plane, he says the train or the plane. Kayom dinam kechol beit kiseh. We treat them as if they are every bathroom. But since we have no other place to wash our hands, then we close the toilet seat and we wash our hands over there, and we lean on the opinion of what rabbi? Anybody remember his name? The Or Letzion, Chacham Ben Zion Abashur. We lean on the Or Letzion that says that nowadays the bathrooms are clean. They're not a place that's impure. We lean on that opinion. So it's good to remember, even though we are strict, like Rav Ovadia's opinion, but even Rav Ovadia says that when there's no other option, we lean on the lenient opinion of Chacham Ben Zion that says that today, those toilets are clean. He says, however, if you find a faucet after that, when you get off the train, go and wash your hands again. Meaning you lose the leniency over there because you had no other option. But now that you're off, go and wash your hands. So in the comments over here, he brings Zikan Aaron. He says like this. Since there are so many people that walk into the toilet that's in the train to wash their face and their hands, meaning they don't walk in always just to use the toilet. It's a room that has many uses. Since there's other uses to that room, it's not special for a toilet. There's no ruach tumah, the evil spirit doesn't dwell in that room, and the impure spirit, let's call it, and therefore that would be sufficient to wash your hands. The Or Letzion, which we just mentioned, his leniency, he explains it in a different angle. He says, כיוון שבית הכסא הוא מקום המיטלטל, אין לו דין בית כסא. בית כסא, a bathroom is a steady place that the dirt keeps on coming in. But a train or a plane is not a steady place. You're in constant movement. Since it's in constant movement, it's not considered bet kiseh. What is it considered? It's not considered a bathroom. It's considered a graf shel re'i. In the Gemara, they discuss what is a graf shel re'i. Graf shel re'i is, let's say I have an animal made something, and I lift it with a cup. I want to cover it with a cup or whatever it is. This cup is called a graf shel re'i. It's there. It's holding something impure. But if I cover it and there's no bad smell, I'm allowed to do what I need to do. It's the same thing with the toilet. If it's covered and there's no bad smell, I can do that because it's not a constant place. It's something that's movable, just like what that animal did.
Rav Avadia doesn't hold by that opinion?
That what?
It seems like that the plane and the train are moving and it's okay?
No, meaning Rav Avadia would tell you, even though we lean on Chacham Ben Sion because we have no choice, and you want to do Netilah in the plane, use that leniency. But if you have a choice, don't do that. And even if you did it, when you get off the plane, go wash your hands somewhere else. All right? That's at least the Yalkut Yosef. It's usually the Rav Yitzchak Yosef, the chief rabbi of today, which almost everything here he brought from his father. So that's the myth. That's the way of his father. All right. Mai megulim. Now, what happens with water that was uncovered all night? Since we're talking about the topic of Netilat Yadayim, even though we're not in the restroom anymore, but water that was uncovered all night. He says, Ksherim leNetilat Yadayim. I'm allowed to use that water to wash my hands. And what happens if I had water that were in a vessel, right? And they were in the bathroom all night. Let's say I had a cup of water in the bathroom all night, where there's a toilet, and it was uncovered. It's good to be strict not to use that. Better not to do netilah or to drink that water that was uncovered all night in the toilet. But if the water was covered, an example that we have today is a small bottle of mineral water. I forgot it in the bathroom. It's covered, right? It's in a kli, but it's in a place that's impure. What's the deen of that bottle? He says it's good lekatchila not to use that water, but if you have a need in that, or if you have a loss and that's important to you, then you are allowed to use that water. We mentioned this before as well regarding bringing food and drinks into the bathroom. Better to wash it 3 times, but if you have a loss, if it's not something that I'm able to wash, then of course we're not going to make you lose that, depending on how valuable it is for you.
Ziegler, covered or sealed?
No, just covered. You don't need to seal it. It doesn't have to be.
Usually you don't want to see it, basically. That's what it is.
Yeah. When you say seal, you mean that it's never been opened, or you mean 2 covers?
No, just put a top on and close it back again. If there's a bottle, for example. You mean
right.
Covered like so the
No. Covered means that nowhere of the water has access to the air in the room. So,
okay, so
a bottle top is a cover.
Look at the water, but the bottle is still.
Yeah, looking is not a problem. Even if you put 2 plastic bags that are transparent, it's covered, right? Or 1 plastic bag. So once it has 2 bags already on it, it's much better. As we said before, you wrap something with 2 bags, you're allowed to walk through that room. He's going to touch walking through that room with food as well. We'll see. All right. Now what happens regarding water that was uncovered and it was in a neighborhood of someone that passed away? All right. So some say that you're not allowed to use that hand, as if to say the impurity of the person that passed away had access to the water and it made the water impure. But if you already went and used that water, let's say you didn't know, and it was in an area where there was someone passed away and there was water and you used it for Netilat Yadayim, after you already did it, the Netilah counts and you don't have to redo it. Because really the problem with the met, someone that passed away in the room, is not a matter of impurity, it's a matter of sakana. They say that there's danger to use the water of someone that passed away, but there you already did it. So that's specifically regarding drinking, but using it for Netilat Yadayim, we would not have a problem. How are we? 2 more minutes. Let's continue. Midine bet hamerchatz, the halachot. Oh, wait, 1 more halacha before we jump down. גם היוצא מבית הכסא המיוחד רק להטלת מי רגליים, even if I leave a place that only has a urinal, there's no toilet in that room, it's just a urinal, I still have to wash my hands. Excuse me, I'm a little cold. כבר נתבהר לאל שחדר האמבטיה ישן שם בית כיסא, בעיקר הדין מותר. Since I already mentioned before, since I'm about to give you an introduction to the halachot of washing your hands after a shower house, we've learned that if there's no toilet over there, then you don't have to wash your hands after leaving a room like that. And mutar lekatchila, you are allowed lekatchila to begin with to bring in food and drink into a room that has a shower in it but doesn't have a toilet. Right? When there was a toilet there, we said be careful, double cover it. But when there's just a shower, bring in the food in and out, no problem. Now, what happens if it does have a toilet in there, but I want to get to the balcony? We mentioned this if you remember in the past, but I want to get to the balcony that's after. In Israel, it's very common. You have a shower, and then you have a balcony where people hang their laundry. Israeli apartments are made that way, where it has like a big window and they hang their laundry there. Some people put a storage room in there. They put like a big cabinet and they store potatoes and onions and stuff like that. So he says you are allowed to pass through that shower room that also has a toilet in it to get to put your food in that. And if there's a fridge in there, why? So why am I lenient here? Before I was strict. You're passing through a room that has a toilet. It says because it's obvious that this room is not designated just for a bathroom and a toilet. This room is designated for other things. It's a pathway to put food in the fridge. So he's using one of the leniencies that we read before, that someone said, no, since this room is not, like remember in the train? He said, not everybody that goes into the toilet in the train is there using the toilet. They're also going in there to wash their hands and face. So he's kind of using that method here. He's saying, since that bathroom is not just for going to the bathroom, then let's use that leniency and you're allowed to pass through with the food. I tell you what, we'll end with this. We'll continue from here next time. The son-in-law of Yosef, he recommended that what we do in this case is we still double cover the food, meaning if it's in your home and you're constantly going to that room, double cover it so that you're strict enough to cover the other activities. All right, gentlemen, it was great seeing you. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll see you inshallah next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.